Looks like we're getting a few people joining now, Ingy.
Yes.
Which is good.
Welcome, everyone.
Yep. Couple of minutes. I think we'll make a start pretty quickly. So we have got a fair amount to cover off, haven't we?
Yeah, we have actually. There's quite a few slides.
Yeah. All right. Look, we'll kick it off now, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. A warm welcome. And this is, of course, our very first webinar for 2024. So it is very exciting. And it is, of course, on our CHU residential strata policy and some training. Can I begin first by acknowledging our country in the spirit of reconciliation? We do acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land on which we live and work throughout Australia, and their continuing connection to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Now, we begin, obviously, with 2024. I don't know if you've noticed, it's already started to disappear as fast as last year. So I do applaud you for making time to educate and to learn and to relearn, as this is key for all professionals in Strata. Before I pass you on to Ingy, our very knowledgeable and lovely Ingy Schaefer, some quick housekeeping to keep us on track and to make sure that we do finish on time. As you saw at the beginning, there is one CPD point for both ANZIF and one CPD point for SCA, which is great. In terms of questions, we love questions, so please keep them coming, but could I ask you to put them in the chat and to keep those either in there, or if we have time at the end of the session. We've got a very good panelist of experts sitting here with Paul Kitchen, Steve Chipak and others, and they'll endeavour to answer if they can. And if they can't, they'll take a note and obviously get back to you individually. And we've got about an hour, so there is a lot to pack in. And this will give you a sound understanding of our core product, which is our residential policy. But I think it's also important to note CHU's sort of rich strata history and how we have constantly added, I guess, to our suite of offerings from when we first opened our doors well over 45 years ago now. So beyond our technical underwriting and claims service expertise, we have continued to invest, as you can see here, in our products, in our people, particularly in technology. And all of this is in responding better to your needs, our brokers and strata managers. We really do want to make life easier and better and less risk-free for our OCs. So with that, the next slide, I think you can see we're certainly very keen to keep on adding to our suite of products and policies. But we're here today really to just have a deep dive into our strata policy. So here it is, the range of services. Sorry, I'll go back to this because there is a lot on this slide. And apart from our products, you can see we're doing things that will hopefully make things easy for you in the claim space. Hence the growth of our CHU services, CHU services with assess, consult and inspect. But Ingy, why don't you just kick off? Let's get into, we have got a lot to cover off, so let's get into really the nuts and bolts of our lovely strata policy and all the covers that we offer in that. Over to you, Ingy.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thank you.
Okay, what we'd like to do now is we actually would like to just talk about what is strata, and I'm going to do a small video, and you could just have a listen to that. Thank you.
Many strata owners are confused about what their strata policy actually covers, leaving themselves uninsured for their personal insurance needs. At CHU, we want to set this straight, providing a tailored strata insurance so you're always covered in your time of need, whether it be under your strata building insurance or your personal contents and landlord's insurance. A strata title is a form of ownership that allows a group of people to have shared ownership of multi-level apartment buildings and townhouses. The people within the strata title become the owner's corporation, and they contribute to the cost of insurance, which is compulsory, plus the administration and maintenance of the building. Residential strata insurance provides general cover for these types of residential buildings, the shared or common areas within them, like pools, gyms and recreation areas, and permanent fixtures such as doors, stoves and tiling. Common area light fittings and fencing is covered under this policy too. CHU strata insurance also covers shared area contents such as carpets, decorations like pot plants and mirrors, and shared appliances in common areas like washing machines, dryers and paint. Even barbecue equipment and gardening tools, if they are owned by the owner's corporation and in a shared area, are covered. For example, if you were to claim for water damage that resulted from a burst pipe, under residential strata insurance, you could claim for both structural damage as well as damage to common area contents. You could not claim for damage to personal contents, such as furniture, electronics, and other items you own personally. This would fall under your contents insurance. Let's recap. Residential strata insurance covers the building, along with permanent fixtures, shared or common areas, common property, and common area contents. Your residential strata policy does not cover your individual contents, plus liability to others for personal injury or property damage within your property or any loss of rental income. You'll need contents insurance or landlord's insurance to cover these. For more information on residential strata insurance or to get a quote, visit www.chu.com.au and make sure you're fully insured for your peace of mind. CHU Strata Insurance. Solutions for modern living.
Okay. It talks about accidental loss or damage. So that actually includes, but it's not limited to, events or happenings such as fire, explosion, lightning, explosion, storm, water, earthquake, aircraft, riot and civil commotion, malicious damage, vehicle impact, theft, vandalism, glass breakage, plus any other event or happening that is not specifically excluded. We're going to recap on what has actually been said in the video. So what is residential strata insurance? It's mandatory for strata title properties to hold residential strata insurance across Australia. The one thing to actually note is every strata title act is different. So for the relevant state, you actually need to look at those legislative requirements and then determine what is required in that policy. Strata properties include apartment complexes, townhouses and villa groups and blocks of units. And strata insurance provides cover for all the common areas of a strata as well as the fabric of the building itself from the basement to the roof. Strata insurance also provides cover for liability for personal injury or damage to other people's property that happens on common areas. So just remembering that you should be looking at the legislation. So in most cases, residential insurance is mandatory. For instances, for 2 lots or schemes in New South Wales, if a strata scheme meets certain criteria, they may not have to insure. Queensland requirements are different, and to insure for common property and body corporate assets for full replacement value, valuations are required every 5 years and liability is required for 10 million. So we'll go through that. For WA, it's the insurable assets of the scheme that need to be insured for replacement value. Liability, the minimum is 10 million. And also they need to think about other insurance which is required by law, for example, workers' compensation. So who is it designed for? So when we talk about strata, we'll be using in place of owners corporation, body corp, strata company. So it's a body corp or owners corp who represent the collective owners of residential strata or the company title property, such as units, apartments or townhouses. So a body corporate who wants financial protection for loss or damage to a strata building and the common area contents. It's predominantly for residential units with no more than 20% of the floor space consisting of commercial units. So you may have a residential block which has a cafe below or something else below. If it is more than 20% floor space, we actually recommend that it goes under a commercial policy. The benefits of strata insurance. So it's really one policy across all units designed for units. So the consistency of cover compared to individual home policies purchased by each unit. A communal strata policy ensures the same high level coverage for each and every unit. The cover is designed for communal living, so it takes into account the unique circumstances of the modern strata. This includes the coverage for shared services and structures such as the lawns, driveways, lifts, hallways, there may be pools, gates, etc. The benefits. So it's economies of scale. The more you buy, the less universal risk faced, the lower the rate. So by insuring together, strata owners can use their collective buying power to typically achieve a more cost-effective strata policy than they would purchasing individual policies. It also allows them to purchase one set of individual lines across all owners. So you're looking at legal liability, office bearers, loss of rent, and amongst them, meaning they share the cost between them. So the legislative compliance, it is mandatory for strata title properties to hold residential strata insurance across Australia. So CHU policies are designed to comply with the state and territory legislation requirements that the body corp meets their minimum requirements. And as we said before, please check each state so that you're actually abiding by those requirements. So the policy overview, we're actually going through each section of the policy. So these are the sections that we're actually going to address. Insured property. So this is an included cover. To explain what the building means, we're going to go through that in the next slide. So the insured property for damage to your insured property, building and common area contents, as the video said. So this is the primary section of the policy and covers damage and repairs to your building and common contents. As we said, it's accidental damage and loss. So the damage is covered up to the sum insured selected and shown on the schedule, as long as the claim is in the policy period and it is not otherwise excluded on the policy. And the policy covers accidental damage, as we said. Anything that's accidental, sudden or unforeseen is typically covered as long as it is not an exclusion. So the insured property. So having a look at the infrastructure, the section will cover buildings on the plan of subdivision inside and out and does not cover your personal property or contents, as the video said. So these include your bath, toilets, ducted air conditioners, windows, hand basins, sinks, built-in cupboards, fixed tiling, shower screens, doors, paint work and wallpapering. So then also, as we said in the video, the lot owner needs to consider what is freestanding, such as the dishwashers, etc., or also their carpet within the lot. So they need to consider taking out landlord's or contents insurance. So it also covers common area contents, and these are contents items owned by the owner's corporation, so not by the individual owners. So these can include carpet in the common areas, common furniture, artwork, pot plants and mirrors in the common areas, communal appliances owned by the corporations, such as washing machines and dryers if they have a communal laundry, communal barbecue equipment, so all those that are owned by the body corporate and used for them. And as we said, any personal contents, which includes your household and personal possessions, such as your clothing, jewellery, furniture, TV, carpets, it all needs to go under a separate insurance than this one. So an insured property, an additional benefit included in the overall sum insured is the architect and professional fees, removal of debris, emergency temporary protection, so no more than 7,000. So for example, if you need to make something safe, if something's happened, you actually can go up to $7,500 to make sure that it's made safe. So it could be turning off water or turning off gas or doing some certain repairs that need to happen. Emergency services costs cover for damage to your property by emergency services. So it could be a situation where a firefighter has caused damage, covers you for the damage if the police or the ambulance need to forcefully enter, or as we said, fire may have caused water damage, so that is going to be covered. Paint and wall covering, so it differs slightly from state to state, so it's important that you actually check that and designed it specifically for your strata. Insured property. So as we said, temporary accommodation, loss of rent, lot owners, contents removal and storage, the cost of reletting up to $1,500 per lot or unit or common area, emergency accommodation, so up to $250 per lot unit for reasonable travel costs, fusion up to $5,000 for the cost of repairing or replacing electric motor. And we'll talk later on about machinery breakdown. So if you have more complex machinery, you need to consider machinery breakdown. Confusion will cover you up to $5,000. Exploratory costs, so for burst pipes, we'll actually cover a certain amount there. Environmental improvements up to $20,000, and then keys and locks up to $5,000. Liability. So this provides cover for the body corporate if they become legally responsible for personal injury or property damage in connection with the ownership of the common area or insured property. So this could be a possible slip and fall. So maybe there hasn't been adequate lighting and the person slips and they haven't made any attempt to improve that lighting. So therefore, if there's negligence, but that has to be proven, so that they could be indemnified up to the sum insured selected as shown on the schedule, as long as the claim is in the policy period and is not otherwise excluded. And this is an included cover. Another one could be that the garage door has not been serviced properly and actually comes down on somebody's vehicle, and they could actually make a claim that way. Liability to others. So more important things to note is negligence needs to be legally proven, and the policy covers the owner's corporation as its own separate legal entity. The individual owners are not covered by this policy. We will also cover the cost of defending a liability claim as part of this section. So remembering it's for the strata as at its own legal entity, and not, this is the mechanism that allows legal action between the strata and the lot owner. So the best way to prevent liability is proactivity, and always make sure that the owner's corporation takes steps to attend to and repair any hazards that they are raised as a liability risk, and always inform us as soon as possible of any potential liability claims that may arise. Voluntary workers' compensation. So this is providing compensation for workers doing unpaid work. So they're not receiving a reward or remuneration to do the work. So it could be a busy bee, or it could be taking the bins out or things like that. So who are injured whilst carrying out work on the strata's behalf. They're covered as long as the claim is in the policy period and is not otherwise excluded. The amount that will be paid is listed in the table of the benefits within the residential strata PDS. So this is also an included cover in New South Wales. So just remembering the strata's obligations in terms of workplace safety and law, so that also should take consideration. Fidelity guarantee. So this provides cover up to 100,000 sum insured, and it can be increased if necessary, for financial losses that come about due to fraud or theft of strata funds. They're covered as long as the claim is in the policy period and is not otherwise excluded. It does not cover owners' personal funds. So this could be a situation where an employee is working for a strata company, they have administrative duties, and they have access to this trust account, so they can pay invoices via the trust account. It could be a situation where they start doing fraudulent activity and start paying invoices which are fraudulent and putting it into their own bank account. So therefore, the fidelity guarantee here is come about because of financial loss due to some fraud or theft of strata funds. Office bearer's legal liability. So this provides indemnity to any of the Strata committee members and Strata managers against the cost of defending the legal claim against them, and any claim payments they become legally responsible for. They are indemnified up to the sum insured selected and shown on the schedule, as long as the claim is in the policy period and is not otherwise excluded. This is an optional cover. A good example could be that I'm an office bearer, I'm a chair on my council, and I have been asked to get a quote on waterproofing. I get the quote, $16,000, and the council owners have approved it. I decide to let the contractor know that he can go ahead with the job. I think, well, I'm going on holidays, I'll pay it up front, and then at least when I come back, I know that the job's been done, and it's great. I come back from leave, the contractor did not come and do the job, and he has absconded with the money. So therefore, I have done something unintentional of my duties as an office bearer. So this cover could actually come into play there. We need to consider that Strata managers can easily be roped into this, and this is why we extend the coverage to them. We were the first to cover them in this way, and it's a risk that they should understand. Machinery breakdown. It provides cover for electrical and mechanical components inside machinery within the Strata complex that may be damaged in the ordinary course of working. They're covered up to the sum insured selected as shown on the schedule, as long as the claim is in the policy period and is not otherwise excluded. And this is an optional cover. As I said, Fusion will cover you up to the 5,000 limit. So then the complexity of buildings these days with the air conditioning and things like that, and we'll go into that, what this actually covers, they need to consider whether they have machinery breakdown. It also includes cover for loss of rent, temporary accommodation to cover the strata if the mechanical breakdown makes a unit uninhabitable to prevent access to a unit. So an example could be an apartment on upper stories where the lift breaks down and an occupier is disabled and they cannot take the stairs. So therefore the special benefit is loss of rent and temporary accommodation up to 30 days and up to 20% of the amount shown in the schedule. The breakdown of plant and equipment must extend for more than 7 days. It is designed to cover motors such as lifts and elevator motors. In the case of a lift, there should be a contract agreement in place, so those subjectivities do apply. Some pumps, air conditioning plants, car stackers, and other plant machinery. So Strata is becoming more and more mechanically complex, and Fusion cover is the minimum. And if there is any complex motors, this cover is worth it. This uniquely covers the internal mechanisms of the machinery at the site operating in their normal working conditions. Each claim under this policy would be unique to each piece of machinery, and each claim has up to the full sum insured to claim under. Catastrophe. Unfortunately, the eastern states would know a lot more about catastrophe than WA. However, we have had Cyclone Seroja and also bushfires. So the recent CATs, we're looking at ACT hailstorm and also floods that have been happening, bushfires, etc. So it provides cover for the increased cost of building and repairs due to the huge demand for builders, tradespeople and materials experienced during a declared catastrophe. Only if the sum insured under Policy 1 is exhausted and the event that caused the damage is declared a catastrophe by the Insurance Council of Australia. Up to the sum insured selected as shown on the schedule, as long as the claim is in the policy period and is not otherwise excluded. And this is an optional cover that can be selected. The sum insured to have that catastrophe cover could be 15% of the building sum insured, building sum insured, or 30%. So cover is an extension to building policy number 1 building, and it's the same coverage. Exclusions apply to both, and both include coverage for loss of rent or temporary accommodation. So as we said, bushfires, floods, widespread hailstorms, which was an ACT for us, cyclones, but it must be declared a catastrophe by the Insurance Council of Australia. So policy 8 is government audit costs, appeal expenses and legal defence expenses. So this covers the professional fees incurred in connection with a government audit, appeal expenses incurred by the Strata in relation to OH&S, workplace safety or similar legislations, so it could be a health breach or something like that, legal defence costs when defending the Strata from litigation. They're covered up to the sum insured on the schedule, as long as the claim is in the policy period and is not otherwise excluded. This is an included cover. It's legal defence, not legal offence. We will not pay for them to litigate someone. Lot owners, fixtures and improvements. Provides cover for any shortfall between your building's estimated replacement costs and its actual replacement costs when any improvements or renovations made by the property owner are included, which the body corporate may not be aware of. We would hope that if a lot owner does renovations to their apartment, that they would advise their strata manager or body corporate. But there are at times renovations that are going on which have not been finalised and have not been added to the building sum insured. So policy 9 will then come into play. They are covered only if the sum insured under policy number 1 is exhausted and up to the sum insured shown on the schedule, as long as the claim is in the policy period and is not otherwise excluded. This is an included cover. And sometimes this section of the policy is misunderstood, but it's really just letting you know that it covers you for this when the body corporate is not aware of these renovations that may have been done, etc. But as soon as the renovations are done, they should be thinking about working out whether the current sum insured is enough and whether they should be increasing that sum insured. Lot owners, fixtures and improvements. This is a term which sort of gives peace of mind cover. This ensures any additions to be added onto the strata property but not yet included in the sum insured, that there is coverage for them. The policy is subject to the same terms and exclusions as policy building number 1. And to know if any improvement or addition is coverable under the section, use the same test as you would for building items under policy 1. So this is covering somebody up to $250,000. It doesn't cover any contents. It only covers the building structure itself for renovations and improvements that are being done. And that actually concludes our session. And it's only taken 30 minutes. And sorry, my lights have gone out. Oh.
Thanks, Ingi.
Oh.
Look, I mean, we can see from, the absolute range of questions, how complex this can be. So it is important, I think, to go back to basics and ensure that owners, corporations, and that strata managers and brokers and ourselves work collaboratively together. It really is important that we understand what that building needs and ensure that we have the right limits in place, the right cover in place. So, fit for purpose is what we tend to say. The policy has to fit what the building needs, and we can only know that, I guess, if we're sharing information and disclosing everything nice and early and fully. So we really appreciate working with you guys. It is a collaborative responsibility and accountability. A lot of this needs to get to the lot owners, as we know, and to the committee members. So yeah, we're part of that communication. We hope that this has helped, and lots of questions. Look, we'll endeavour to pack them up together and respond to those. They're quite individual, they're quite specific, so we'd like to look at those and pass them back to you. But absolutely, this is a big area. As you can see, we go well beyond the minimum requirements of any laws in any state, federal or state. But we keep looking at, you know, what is covered, what is excluded, and how can we pay it? You know, so the philosophy of any insurer you're dealing with, please, you know, can I ask you to look beyond price? There is a lot of discussion about price when we are renewing and when we're looking at new business. But as we can see, all these questions are about the cover, and can we actually come to the party when it really matters for the lot owner? So Ingi, thank you so much. I think we've got a lot there to get on with. And anything else to add?
Yeah, I just want to add, somebody did ask if we actually supply a copy of the webinar. It is recorded, so marketing will endeavour to forward a copy of that webinar to anyone that's attended today. Can I just ask if people have a group of people in a boardroom that are watching this, can they please provide their local BDM with the names of the people in the boardroom so that we can issue the certificates if you've registered under one person? And the other thing I just wanted to say is, if you wish to actually know more about the product itself, please contact your local BDM and they'll be able to help you know more about the product. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Ingi.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye now. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.